My name is Tessa Harrington. I'm 32 years old. And I didn't realize my engagement was already unraveling until I watched a clock in a therapist's waiting room turn my love into something small and embarrassing. It's strange what the mind holds on to when it's trying to warn you. Not the big fights, not the dramatic accusations people expect. Just details. The way Ryan started keeping his phone face down, like the screen had secrets that might crawl out if I caught a reflection. The way late at work appeared in his vocabulary like a new habit. Casual, effortless, practiced. We'd been together 4 years, engaged since last September, wedding planned for next June. On paper, it was the kind of relationship people call solid. The kind where your friends stop asking if you're happy and start asking when you'll have kids. And for a long time, I answered like happiness was a given. But 2 months ago, something shifted. Not loudly, quietly. Like a door that doesn't slam. It just doesn't click all the way shut anymore. When I tried to talk about it, Ryan got smooth. Not cruel, not mean, just skilled at ending conversations before they got uncomfortable. I'm tired, Tess. Can we not do this right now? You're reading into things. Maybe I was. I wanted to believe I was. So I suggested couples therapy, not because I thought he was cheating, not out loud, not yet, but because communication had started feeling like trying to hold water in my hands. No matter how gently I approached him, it slipped away. He agreed, but the agreement didn't sound like hope. It sounded like someone signing a form they planned to contest later. We found a therapist with Thursday evening availability, Dr. Naomi Feldman, $175 a session. I paid because I made more and because I told myself love shouldn't keep score. The first session was fine, polite, surface level. The kind where you talk about stress and busy schedules and pretend the real problem isn't sitting between you like a third person in the room. The second session got sharper. Dr. Feldman asked Ryan direct questions about how he felt about the relationship, about me, about our future. He deflected like it was muscle memory. He joked. He changed topics. He answered with questions instead of answers. And I sat there, nodding, smiling too hard, trying not to look like the woman who loved someone more than he loved being honest. The third session was yesterday. That's the day everything imploded. Our appointment was at 6 p.m. I left work early, grabbed coffee, arrived at 5:50, sat in the waiting room with that strange quiet you only find in places where people come to fall apart politely. The chairs were too clean. The lighting was soft in a way that felt engineered, like a spa for emotions. At 6 p.m., Ryan still wasn't there. I texted him. Me, hey, I'm here. You on your way? At 6:05, my phone buzzed. Ryan, running a few minutes late, start without me. Weird, but okay. People run late. Still, something in my chest tightened. Because couples therapy wasn't a casual dinner reservation. This was supposed to be 1 hour a week where we chose us on purpose. Dr. Feldman opened the door and called my name. I stood, smoothing my skirt like I could smooth the situation too. I'm sure he's close, I said, smiling with that automatic embarrassment you get when your partner makes you look like you care more. She nodded, neutral, professional. We can begin with some individual reflection, she said. Sometimes that's helpful. At 6:15, Ryan still hadn't arrived. I texted again. Me, everything okay? This time the reply came faster. Ryan, yeah, just grabbing drinks with an old friend real quick. Lost track of time. Be there soon. For a second, I didn't understand the words. Like my brain tried to protect me by pretending I'd misread them. Then my stomach dropped, sharp and cold, because I realized I hadn't misread anything. I stared at my phone, read it twice. Then, without thinking, I turned the screen toward Dr. Feldman. He's getting drinks, I heard myself say, voice too steady. Right now, during this. Dr. Feldman didn't gasp, didn't react dramatically. But I saw it, the smallest shift in her eyes, the mental note being taken. How does that make you feel? She asked gently. And that question, asked in that calm room, cracked something open. Because the answer wasn't just anger, it was humiliation. Like I'd been trying to save something that my fiancé couldn't even bother to show up for. Like I'm not a priority, I said. Like, this isn't new. And then I started listing things, as if the truth had been waiting for permission. The canceled dinner because a coworker needed him. The birthday party he arrived an hour late to because he ran into someone and didn't want to be rude. The way I'd begged him to help plan the wedding details, and he'd said he was too busy, yet somehow found time for 2 last-minute happy hours in 1 week. Dr. Feldman nodded slowly. It sounds like there may be a pattern, she said. Not of lateness, but of deprioritization. The word deprioritization hit me like a diagnosis, because that's what it was. For 45 minutes, I talked, not like a woman pleading to be chosen, like a woman finally describing what she'd been living in. At 6:58, 2 minutes before the session ended, the door opened. Ryan walked in looking flushed, cheeks slightly pink, hair a little too perfect for someone who'd been stuck in traffic. He smelled faintly of wine and something sweet, like he'd hugged someone wearing perfume. "Hey," he said, breathless but smiling. "Sorry, traffic was insane. Did I miss much?" Dr. Feldman looked at me. I looked at him. And in that moment, I knew something I hadn't wanted to know before. If he cared, he would have been ashamed. But he looked casual, like the world would rearrange itself around him, the way it always had. "The session's over," I said. His smile faltered. "What? No, there's still time. It ends at 7. "You're 2 minutes early," I said, my voice low, "for a 6 o'clock appointment." He laughed, nervous, annoyed. "Okay, wow. Drama." Dr. Feldman stepped in softly. "We used the time productively. Perhaps we can explore this dynamic in our next session." Dynamic. Ryan's eyes flicked between us. "What did you tell her?" he asked, too sharp. I stood up slowly, coffee untouched on the side table, cold now. "I told her the truth," I said, "that you chose drinks over showing up." "It wasn't like that," he snapped. "I ran into someone. It happened." "Someone," I repeated. "Or an old friend?" He hesitated, just a fraction. And that fraction was enough to make my skin go cold. Dr. Feldman excused herself then, giving us the room like a professional handing two people their own consequences. The door clicked shut. Ryan crossed his arms. "You're overreacting." I looked at him, the man I was supposed to marry, and realized I didn't recognize the version of him who could say that with a straight face. "It's not the lateness," I said quietly. "It's the fact you didn't care." His jaw tightened. "I do care. I'm here, aren't I?" 2 minutes before the end. Like I should be grateful for the scraps. I picked up my bag. "We're done for today," I said. "And I'm thinking." Ryan's eyes narrowed. "Thinking about what?" The words rose in my throat, heavy, irreversible. And as I walked out past the waiting room clock, I realized the scariest part wasn't that my fiancé had skipped therapy. It was that I'd spent years training myself to call this normal. And I didn't think I could do it anymore. I woke up the next morning to an apartment that already felt different. Not emptier, just quiet in a way that suggested something had slipped out while I was sleeping. Ryan was gone. No goodbye, no kiss on the cheek, no "we'll talk later," said with forced optimism. Just a single sheet of paper on the kitchen counter, placed carefully like he wanted credit for not being cruel. "We need to talk tonight. Please don't make any decisions until then." I stared at it longer than I should have. Because the thing about "don't decide yet" is that it assumes the other person hasn't already been deciding quietly for months. Work was a blur, emails stacked on top of each other, meetings where I nodded and smiled while my brain replayed the waiting room clock, 5:50, 6 o'clock, 6:15, over and over again. Around noon, my coworker Jenna leaned into my office doorway. "You okay?" she asked. "You've been staring at your screen like it personally offended you." "I'm fine," I said automatically. She didn't buy it. People rarely do when you're that calm. When I got home that evening, Ryan was already there. He'd beaten me home by maybe 10 minutes, long enough to set the scene. Takeout containers from my favorite Thai place sat neatly on the counter, candle lit, apology music playing softly from his phone. Peace offering. He stood when he saw me, hands slightly raised like I was a startled animal. "Hey," he said gently. "Thanks for coming home." As if this wasn't my apartment. I set my bag down slowly, taking it all in. The effort, the choreography. He waited until I sat at the table before launching in. No wasted movement, no pauses to breathe. "I've been thinking a lot about yesterday," he began, "and I owe you an apology. I really do." I didn't interrupt. "That therapy session, it scared me," he continued. Going there felt like admitting our relationship was broken, and I panicked. When I ran into my friend, it felt easier to avoid the hard conversation than to face it. He looked at me then, eyes glossy but controlled. "That was wrong. I see that now." I nodded once. "I want to make this work, Tess," he said. "I love you. I want to marry you. Please, give me another chance." There it was, perfectly delivered, timed just right. Apology paired with explanation, remorse softened by fear. For a moment, just a moment, I felt the old instinct kick in, the urge to soothe, to reassure, to make it okay so the discomfort would stop. Instead, I asked the question that had been sitting in my chest like a stone. "Who was the friend?" Ryan blinked. "What?" "The friend you got drinks with," I said evenly. "Who is she?" The shift was immediate. Like a switch flipped behind his eyes. Why does that matter? He asked, tone sharpening. Because you chose her over our therapy session, I said, and you lied about why you were late. I didn't lie, he snapped. I said I was running late. You said you were running late because of traffic, I replied. You were at a bar. He leaned back, exhaling hard. You're interrogating me right now. I'm trying to apologize, and you're acting like a detective. I'm asking a simple question. His jaw tightened. Her name isn't relevant. That was the moment something inside me went very still, because I finally understood this wasn't about privacy. It was about control. What's relevant, he continued, is that I'm here, owning my mistake, trying to fix things. And you're fixated on some random person from my past. Then say her name, I said quietly. He stared at me, eyes hard now, defensive, cornered. I'm not doing this, he said. This is exactly what I mean. You always turn things into something bigger. I stood up. I think we should take a break. The word hit him like a slap. A break? He repeated. Are you serious? I need space, I said, to think, to figure out what I want. You need space because I was late one time? His voice rose. That's insane. I need space because you won't tell me who you were with. His face flushed. He stood too, knocking his chair back. So you're really going to throw away 4 years over some college friend? I'm not paranoid, I said. I'm observant. There's a difference. That's when the tears came. Not soft ones, not apologetic ones. Angry tears. You're unbelievable, he said, grabbing his keys. I'm staying at my sister's. Hope you're happy. The door slammed hard enough to rattle the frames on the wall. 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Staying at Olivia's. Hope the space is worth it. I didn't respond. Saturday was quiet. Too quiet. I made coffee and drank it cold, staring at the apartment like I was seeing it for the first time. Then I started making lists. Things that were mine. Things that were his. Things we'd bought together. The couch, mine. Bought before he moved in. The bed, shared, but the frame was mine. The TV, his. A gift from his parents. The exercise wasn't emotional. It was grounding. Sunday afternoon, the knock came. I opened the door to find Olivia Callahan, Ryan's older sister, standing there with her arms crossed and her jaw set. What the hell is wrong with you? She demanded. Hello to you too, I said, stepping aside. Do you want to come in or just yell from the hallway? She didn't smile. My brother is devastated, she said. He made one mistake and you're ready to throw everything away. Did he tell you what the mistake was? I asked. He said he was late to therapy, she snapped. That's it. And now you're acting like he cheated on you. I met her gaze steadily. He skipped therapy to get drinks with a woman he won't name. She froze. What do you mean he won't name her? I asked, I said. He refused. Something flickered across her face. Doubt. That's not what he told me, she said slowly. I'm sure it isn't. She stood there for a moment longer, then shook her head. I don't know what's going on, she said, but this feels extreme. Extreme would be pretending this is fine, I replied. She left a few minutes later, less aggressive than when she arrived. I watched her walk down the hall, feeling strangely calm. I'd planted a seed. Monday morning, my phone buzzed. Ryan, we need to talk face to face. Can I come over tonight? I stared at the message, then typed back. Okay. Not because I thought it would fix things, but because whatever was coming, I wanted it finished. Ryan showed up at exactly 6 p.m. Not 6:05, not running late, not breathless, with an excuse already loaded. Exactly on time, like punctuality was a bargaining chip he'd decided to spend carefully. No takeout this time, no candles, no soft music. Just him, standing in the doorway with his hands shoved into his jacket pockets, eyes tired in a way that felt practiced. Hey, he said quietly. I stepped aside and let him in. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table, the same table where we'd once planned vacations, debated paint colors, joked about which of us would be the stricter parent someday. Now it felt like a negotiation room. I owe you the truth, he said after a moment. I didn't respond, I just waited. He exhaled slowly. The woman I got drinks with, her name is Madeline Shaw. The name landed between us, heavy and sharp. And who is she? I asked. She's someone I knew in college, he said quickly. We went out a few times. It wasn't serious. How many times? I asked. He hesitated. 4, maybe 5. So an ex, I said. She's not really an ex, he pushed back. We never defined anything. I looked at him steadily. Then why hide her? He rubbed his face with both hands, because I knew how it would sound. How what would sound? Like exactly what you're doing right now, he snapped, assuming the worst. I'm not assuming, I said. I'm responding to what you chose not to tell me. He leaned forward, voice urgent now. Nothing happened, Tess. We talked. That's it. She was in town, we ran into each other, and I made a stupid, impulsive decision. During our therapy session, I said. Yes, he admitted. Okay, yes, that part was wrong. But the lying wasn't? I asked. I didn't lie, he said again, reflexive. You said you were running late because of traffic, I replied. You were sitting at a bar with someone you used to date. That's not lying, he insisted. That's simplifying. I felt something inside me settle then. Not anger, clarity. You didn't simplify, I said. You controlled the narrative. He opened his mouth, then closed it. The conversation circled for nearly an hour. Apology followed by justification. Accountability paired with blame. Every I'm sorry followed by, but you have to understand. And I realized something terrifyingly simple. If this was how he handled being caught, how he bent the truth to protect himself, then I'd never feel safe asking questions. Finally, I said the thing I'd been holding since Thursday. I want the ring back. His head snapped up. What? The engagement ring, I repeated. I want it back. His eyes filled instantly. You're serious, he whispered. Yes. He laughed weakly, like the idea was absurd. You can't just take that back. We're engaged. I can, I said, because I don't feel engaged anymore. His tears spilled then, unchecked. I can't believe you're doing this, he said. I made one mistake. This isn't one mistake, I said gently. It's a pattern, and I can't unsee it now. He shook his head. You're being cold. I'm being honest. He reached up, touching the ring on his finger instinctively, then stopped. I need time, he said, to think. You've had time, I replied. I need a few days, he insisted. Please. The ring stayed on his hand. When he left, the apartment felt hollow, but not broken. The noise came later. His mother left a voicemail the next morning, voice tight with fury. You are destroying my son over a misunderstanding, she said. I hope you understand what you're doing. I deleted it. His friend texted me, You're a control freak. Ryan deserves better. Blocked. What surprised me wasn't the anger. It was how little it moved me. Because somewhere between the therapist's waiting room and my kitchen table, I'd stopped arguing with the truth. Ryan wasn't evil. He wasn't malicious. He just didn't prioritize me, and he resented being asked to. And that realization was heavier than betrayal. By the time my phone buzzed again late Sunday night, can we talk again? I already knew what was coming. I just didn't know how far he'd go to avoid losing control. Ryan went quiet after that. No texts, no late night, I miss you. No dramatic apologies sent at 2 a.m. when defenses usually drop. Just silence. 3 full days of it. By Wednesday, I'd stopped checking my phone every few minutes. By Thursday, I'd started sleeping through the night again. That alone should have told me something. I came home from work on Thursday evening with groceries in my arms and my mind already on dinner. Something simple, something grounding. That's when I saw his car, parked in my spot. My stomach dropped before my brain caught up. I stood there for a full 10 seconds, keys frozen in my hand, staring at the familiar bumper sticker on the back, like it might disappear if I blinked. M-I-T-I-N-A-D-M-I. He still had a key. I'd meant to change the locks. I just needed one more day. Inside, the apartment lights were on. I unlocked the door slowly, every instinct in my body screaming that whatever waited on the other side was going to hurt. The first thing I saw was Ryan standing near the couch. The second was a woman sitting on it. My couch. What's going on? I asked. Ryan jumped slightly. Hey, okay, don't freak out. The woman stood too. She was tall, maybe our age, dressed casually, but put together in that effortless way that suggested confidence. This is Ryan started, then stopped. My sister, he finished, too fast. I didn't even blink. That's not your sister. The woman looked between us, uncomfortable. Then she sighed. I'm not his sister, she said. I'm the woman from the bar. There it was. She extended her hand. I'm Madeline. I didn't take it. I wanted to come explain things, she continued quickly. Clear the air. Ryan said you thought... You came to my apartment, I said, voice steady, to explain yourself. Ryan stepped in. She just wanted you to hear it from her, that nothing happened. Did you know he was engaged? I asked her. Madeline hesitated. Not at first, she admitted. He mentioned it later. I looked at Ryan. He looked at the floor. And you weren't wearing the ring, she added, softer. I don't always wear it, Ryan muttered. My fingers swell. At bars? I asked. With ex-girlfriends? Madeline winced. I don't want to be in the middle of this, she said quickly. I swear nothing happened. We just talked. Old times. Then why did he lie about who you were? I asked. She looked at him. I don't know. That answer told me everything. Madeline excused herself then. Smart, really. The kindest thing anyone did in that room. The door closed behind her. Ryan rounded on me immediately. I brought her here to show you there's nothing to worry about, he said, and you're still acting like I did something wrong. You brought your ex into my home without telling me, I said, to ambush me. It wasn't an ambush. It was a performance, I replied, and I didn't ask for it. He threw his hands up. I can't win with you. Nothing I do is right. You could have told the truth from the beginning, I said. That would have been right. The truth is I got drinks with someone, he snapped. That's it. You're making it bigger. The truth stopped being simple the moment you started hiding it. He grabbed his jacket. Fine. You want your ring? He yanked it off his finger and threw it at me. Not gently, not carefully. Threw it. I caught it out of instinct, my hands reacting before my heart did. It felt heavier than it should have, like catching a grenade. We're done, he said. I can't be with someone who doesn't trust me. You can't be with someone who won't accept being lied to, I replied. There's a difference. He slammed the door on his way out. That made 3 door slams in 2 weeks. The neighbors probably thought we were filming a reality show. I stood there for a long time, the ring pressed into my palm, listening to the echo fade. A week passed. I changed the locks, boxed up his remaining things, dropped them at Olivia's place without going inside. Ryan sent texts, long ones, short ones, angry ones, nostalgic ones. I miss you. You'll regret this. You broke us. I blocked his number. His mother called again. I answered this time. You've broken my son's heart, she said. He broke his own, I replied, by lying. This was over drinks, she insisted. This is insanity. No, I said calmly. This was over a pattern. The drinks were just where it finally showed. Silence. Then she hung up. I thought that would be the end. I was wrong. The therapist reached out 2 days later. That alone surprised me. Dr. Naomi Feldman's email was short, careful, professional boundaries intact, concern threaded through every line. I don't usually do this, she wrote, but given how our last session ended, I wanted to check in. If you'd like to schedule a few individual sessions, my calendar is open. I stared at the screen for a long moment. Then I replied yes, not because I was broken, but because I was finally done lying to myself. The first solo session felt different from the start. No chairs angled toward each other like opposing counsel. No polite balance of airtime. Just me, telling the truth without editing it to sound reasonable. We talked about Ryan, of course, but we talked about me more. Why I stayed when being late became a pattern. Why I translated deflection into stress. Why I told myself love meant flexibility instead of reciprocity. Sometimes, Dr. Feldman said gently, we stay because leaving would mean admitting we've been alone for a while. That landed harder than anything Ryan had ever said to me. The second session was about patterns too, but not just his. Mine. Why it took a stranger in a waiting room to validate what I already knew. Why I'd learned to minimize my own needs so well I barely noticed when they weren't being met. It wasn't a teardown. It was a recalibration. Meanwhile, the story Ryan told the world had already taken shape. Through mutual friends, I heard the highlights. I was controlling, emotionally abusive. I dumped him over nothing and refused to hear his side. A few people believed it. Most didn't. The ones who knew me, the ones who'd watched me make excuses for him for years, weren't surprised. What did surprise me was the message from Olivia. For what it's worth, she wrote, I talked to Ryan about what you said, the pattern stuff. He got defensive immediately. Wouldn't even consider it. That told me everything. I'm sorry for how I showed up at your place. You didn't deserve that. I read it twice. Didn't respond. But I appreciated it. The apartment slowly became mine again. I changed the locks. Deep cleaned everything. Donated clothes, mugs, throw pillows that felt too heavy with memory. Kept the furniture. I wasn't made of money. The ring went back to my family. My mother took it with a quiet nod, relief softening her expression. I never wanted to interfere, she admitted later. But you were always making excuses for him. I'd been doing that my whole life. Work stayed busy. My friend group closed ranks without making a spectacle of it. Jenna started inviting me over on Sundays just because. I wasn't ready to date, but I wasn't lonely either. 3 weeks after the therapy no-show, I sat on my couch, feet tucked under me, the apartment quiet in a way that finally felt peaceful. And I realized something. I wasn't grieving the end of my engagement. I was grieving the version of the relationship I'd been hoping would show up eventually. The truth was simpler. Ryan skipping therapy wasn't the end. It was the symptom. The end had been happening slowly. Every time he chose something else, every time he minimized, every time he framed my hurt as an inconvenience. I finally saw it. And once you see something clearly, you can't unsee it. Writing this out helped more than I expected. If you're in a relationship where you feel like an option instead of a priority, pay attention to that feeling. It's usually right. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a quiet apartment, a future that's mine again, and a couch that finally belongs to just one person,